All right. All right. Let me move OBS over here just because that way I'm looking, you know, at the right place. Cat goes from my lap because she does not like it when I'm talking. I don't know why. She'll be back. She always is. All right. I mean, I don't see anybody in the viewing right now anyway, so I'm gonna wait a few minutes to see if anybody shows up. Because you never know who might want to show up for this process, but I'm sure after the fact people will be interested in this process. You never know. Um, my other modding videos have done okay, so I'm hoping to help the community by doing stuff like this, as well as working on bigger mods. This particular challenge we have today is one that I've wanted to mod for a very, very long time. And I never really knew how quite to, go at it. Because it involves like a big, big change. So I don't know how we're gonna fare, and I kind of want to show how this process is for just your average programmer, and kind of how I approach it, and some things you might look at and go, oh, I didn't know other people did that. Like look up past projects, look up how you did stuff. So today we are going to be tackling a vintage story mod, again, that I've wanted to do for a long time. When you load up vintage stories, this is especially true. Well, up until now, there hasn't been a mod that would do this. So it is going to be a very unique mod. But in games past, when I've loaded up the world, in Vintage Story, if you guys are unaware, the types of ore that you can find, even the types of resources and rock, depends on the types of rock that spawn. For example, if you're looking for marble to make whatever cool structure with marble, well, marble only spawns in like one or two kinds of rock, like limestone and maybe like shale or something like that. So they're both sedimentary rocks, and marble only spawns in those types of rock. Okay, which is great, but I've had it in my worlds where you load in your world, and in the early game you're not really thinking about this. You're just thinking about survival, because survival is pretty brutal already. And when you go into the world and you start exploring around, I've had it before where you realize you are in an ocean of one kind of rock. I believe the series that I did on this game a while ago, I did a full playthrough on this game. I was in like an ocean of andesite. It was unbelievably large. Just andesite for as far as the eye can see, and that's all that was there. I had to basically teleport myself like 5,000 blocks away in order for me to find different kinds of rock. Now, that's frustrating. That's super frustrating when you don't have an infinite amount of time to just wander the countryside in hopes to find a new kind of rock. Especially if you're looking for something really specific, right? If you're looking for like basalt, or if you're looking for sandstone, or if you're looking for a really specific kind of rock, it can take forever to find. So what I've always wanted to do was figure out how the rock strata, what the types of rock that spawn, how those change, and what controls the generation of those rocks, the different rock types. Now, some types are bound to the biome, quote unquote biome that you're in, and a lot of times they're not. So if you have, let's say, just a giant area of andesite, and then you come across andesite that has basalt on top, that is actually something that generates after that. Basalt is an igneous rock, and that should be on the bottom of the world, not on the top. So having it on the top, that's like a feature, right? That's like a separate feature that generates on top of the world. Well, I'm talking about the layers. If you cut away the rock, right, you can see the sort of noise generated rock types that spawn. And I've always wanted to mod that. Well, I reached out to Tyrone, who is the owner and lead developer of the game, and I said, hey, I've always wanted to mod this. Point me in a direction. Just point me at something, because I don't know enough about their terrain gen system. It is not simple. It is a horribly complex system. I mean, it's so complex. Many different layers of things being generated at once. I mean, it's just layer after layer after layer. So I was like, just tell me what I should look for. And so he pointed me to something. And I'm going to show the process by which we are going to mod it, because it is a value that is not exposed to regular like JSON modding. Okay? They are values that are statically set, meaning they are unchanging throughout the entire code base. There's no variable that we can set easily to change this. There's no JSON that we can set to change this. We are very limited on how we can tweak this value. Very, very limited. And let me show you. I haven't really covered Harmony on almost any of my modding tutorials. Harmony, the library Harmony, is both a godsend when it comes to modding. I have a ton of mods that use it. All my Dyson Sphere mods use it. My Graveyard Keeper mods, like so many mods use the Harmony system. It is a godsend, but it can be very abstract to a person who's not familiar. So I'm going to try. We're just going to dip our toe into Harmony today. We're not going to get into the craziness that can be Harmony, but we're just going to dip our toe into Harmony and hopefully get people a little bit more comfortable as to how it works. But I need coffee first. I need a lot of coffee before it gets cold. All right. So Tyrone pointed me to the TerraGen system. I'm not going to pull up our conversation. I don't want to do that. But if you are interested in modding Vintage Story, which, I mean, you're here, so whatever. The entire game is on GitHub. You can look at the source code, right? You can go through all the objects. It's all up there. But it's hard to when you're looking at either the API, the modding API, you can look at all the objects, all the sources up there. You can even download it and have it on your computer. You can even get the survival mode, right? Because the game's modes are just mods on top of the API. But you can't really see the big picture. It's really hard looking at any given object in Vintage Stories, in their GitHub repo. I've even downloaded one for me to look at. Here's the VS API. This is literally the Vintage Story modding API. Like this is everything in here. And when you're looking at like any given one of these, let's put this up here, right? This again, vintagestory.api.math-tools. These are just like, hey, which block am I facing, right? And these are just all like, hey, these are all block facing, helper utils. And there are any number of things that you can look at, and the same was true with the survival mod. But it's hard to know the big picture. It's hard to know what you're looking at. So I would highly recommend using something like dnSpy. And dnSpy can take the DLL file, the Vintage Story DLL file, and decompile it into source. Now, this source might be a little bit different. It might look a little bit different than the raw source files. But what this allows you to do while you're looking at this is you can analyze and look at different variables, right? You can look at different things. So we're going to go down to, where is it? TerraGen config, right? TerraGen config, obviously, we're getting close to what value we want to mod. And this is just a regular old class. It's got a lot of get functions. There's not any set function. There's this library is full of static things. And static essentially means these are set at runtime and they do not change. Or they don't change easily. Most static variables are basically constants. They're just static. And another thing with static is they are universally instanced, meaning a static procedure you can call from anywhere, and it doesn't matter if there's an instance of that object, the parent object, or not. A static you can just call, and it's just like this, gamemath.clamp. It doesn't matter the parent object. It doesn't matter if there's an instance of it. You don't have to declare a TerraGen config object in order to call this function. You can just call this function, TerraGen config dot get adjusted temperature, input, and then you get output. You don't have to call it. It's a static thing. And as such, we go down here, we can see rock strata scale and rock strata octave scale. Okay, these are the two values that Tyrone pointed me to. Now, you can see that they're set. Rock strata scale and then rock strata octave scale. Now, if we look at the overall file, you can kind of see where all of these values are set. And again, they're all static. And it is not easy to set those values, to override those values. It's not easy because they're static. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, I mean, you could do a whole lot of custom code and reflection and all that kind of stuff, or you could just use Harmony, and that's what we're going to use is Harmony because they have built-in ways of doing all of this stuff. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, we want to be able to set these values. Where do they go? Rock. Oh, where are they? They're in here somewhere. There they are. Rock strata scale, rock strata octave scale. We want to be able to set these values to other values. How are these values used? Well, that, again, gets back to the beauty of dnSpy. You can right-click them go to Analyze. And Analyze will go through all of your loaded objects, right? And we have a lot of them. We have all the Vintage Story stuff loaded. And it will find all of the things that either use it, set it, or in any way touch this variable. So you can see assigned by, there's only one thing that assigns it, and that is this object, the CCTOR. That's just the constructor. It is basically, because it's a static, it is automatically set. The default constructor, it's just set. But read by, you can see read by. Okay, this is only used in two places. The wgen commands, which is worldgen, which is when you're in the game and you do /we, that's world edit. Those are world edit commands. Those are not like the world is generating as you're walking through it. No, that is on map region gen. Here you can see this is the one place that this variable is used, and it is used as a divisor to noise size. Now, this is where my own sort of, I don't know whether a larger value here is better or a smaller value here is better. I don't know anything about the Perlin noise algorithm. I don't know how the different values are going to change here. And if we look right up here, this rock shredder octave scale, this is the only place that value is used. I've already looked at it. I've already analyzed it. So this one is a divisor on the frequency, right? And I think you want to increase frequency. Because, yeah, I think increasing frequency makes it like bumpier, and it sort of compresses. It makes it change faster, I think. So one or both of these values we're going to want to change, right? We want to change one or both of these values. I just don't know if anybody out there knows how Perlin noise works and can tell me, hey, yeah, exactly what you want to do. You want to make this value lower and this value higher, or both values lower, or just one of these values lower. I don't know. We're going to have to either set it and generate world after world after world after world to see how it changes, which is not ideal, but if we have to do that, we have to do that. That's part of the debugging process. But yeah, for me, I would love to just know which values, what to set and what not to set. Remember, we are trying to have the rock types below your feet change more frequently. So that just means to me that you want if you have a smaller value here, this value will get bigger, right? The frequency, if you're dividing it by 2, you're halving it. If you're dividing it by 4, you're quartering it, which is smaller. Right now, this value is 32. So what happens if we do it to 16? Well, this frequency will get bigger in the end. Whereas rock strata scale, we're dividing it by region size. And region size is basically chunk size times region size, which is region size is, I think it's 16 chunks per region, I think. But we can just click on it and we can say, oh, this is just a get. Well, let's analyze that. Implemented by region size, world API. We're getting 2 magic numbers, server chunk size, chunk region size in chunks. So chunk size 32, chunk region size and chunk is 16. Okay, so 32 times 16 is your region size. And so this is 32 times 16 divided by 16. So it's 32. Right? 32 times 16 divided by 16 is equals 32. So that's the noise size is 32. However that matters. Now, if we change rock strata scale to something smaller, let's say it's instead of 16 is going to be 8, halving it, then you have 32 times 16 divided by 8. Well, that's going to make this noise size bigger. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. You would think that shrinking the scale, because when I'm in like Photoshop and I want to scale something, scaling it up makes it bigger. Well, if there were two peaks here that would determine the changing of rock, scaling it up would make those big, make those further apart, which is the opposite of what I want to do. I want to squish those together so the rock types change really, really frequently. So I want to scale it down. I want to shrink it, which tells me this needs to be bigger, right? Because 32 times 16 divided by 16 is 32. 32 times 16 divided by 32 is 16, which is smaller. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please. I am at a loss. I have no idea. So it just tells me like rock strata scale. I don't know. It just, maybe I don't even need to touch that. Maybe it's just the octave scale that I need to set. But we want to make a mod that can alter either of those values. Okay, either of those values, and have them pull from a configuration file. So I don't have to keep recompiling the damn mod in order to change either of those values. So we need a mod that is very simple, and it just loads, the mod loads, it loads the configuration, and it just pushes those two values out to the game files using Harmony. Just a very, well, again, we're just going to dip our toe into Harmony. But these are the two values that we're gonna tackle: rock strata octave scale and rock strata scale. Tyrone was not sure which one of those, if either or both, need to be changed in order to change the rock scale. I have a feeling that this code was not written by him. I have a feeling, or it's just so old and it's just been working that, you may not remember how this works. But this is there is some gnarly code in here. I mean, it is to wrap your head around what is going on in this code. More power to you. I do not envy, I do not envy the person who has to go through this. But for me, my initial gut is we want to change the rock strata octave scale to be lower to increase the frequency. That's my gut reaction. Because let's say the frequency was really low, right? So you had a bump here and a bump over here. If those indicate different types of rock, then we have those far apart. Now, if we increase the frequency, those bumps get closer together, which means the rock might change more often. That's my feeling. My gut intuition. So, we want to create a mod that does this. Now, this is where I think a lot of new programmers don't realize when you create something, if you don't do it often, you don't immediately memorize how to do it. So for me, the last mod that I made in Vintage Story was several months ago. The crafting table mod was the last mod I made. yes, I just updated all my mods, but I didn't create a new one. And the process of creating a new mod, there are projects that you can download. There are empty blank projects that are already all set up for you, right? I don't like to use those because, again, I want to do it myself. And, if I do it enough times, I usually get a good idea about how to do it. But there are usually some things that I'm like, I can't even remember how to do that. So you want to, I don't know, you want to just sort of refresh your memory, and stuff might come to you like, how do you do a config? How does this work? But DN Spy, we're going to put that away for later. And I want Visual Studio. And we are going to create a new project. I've already got the directory ready to go. So I'm using the programming vintage, and this one is going to be called Strata Shrinker. Now, you can use it to expand it, but its default setting will be to shrink the strata. So the project is going to be a class library, which is just a DLL class library. It's going to be called Strata Shrinker, and I want to put it into Strata Shrinker code. Okay. Solution name Strata Shrinker. And we want all of this in there. .NET Standard, we want I don't even know what value to use in here. I don't know. .NET Standard 2.1, I guess. There are too many weird versions of .NET, right? There's .NET Framework, there's .NET Core, and there's that, like .NET, like what is that? We're going to close that. Why is this in VB? No. Why is this in VB? That is not anything. I've never coded in VB. Why did that even remotely? No. Class why? Class library. Okay. Strata Shrinker. I've never coded in VB. I don't even know why that's even in here. C#, there we go. This better be C#. .NET Standard, whatever. Why is there... Ugh. Why can't they just be like, this is... there are versions of .NET. There's .NET 6, .NET 7. There's all the way up to I don't even know what version they're putting out now, a .NET 11 or something like that. And that's disconnected from the framework version you're on. It's all very confusing, and I don't like it. Okay, so we're going to rename class 1. This is going to be full path. Okay. Rename Strata Shrinker mod. Let's try to type that and spell it right. And this is just saying, hey, we've got class 1 right here, public class 1. And this is saying you renamed the source file. Do you want to rename the class? And yes, you do. Okay, so we've got the Strata Shrinker mod, but it doesn't do anything. So first things first, we want to add project references. Okay. Where are all of our references? Really? You're not going to show us any references. There's some references. Now, you got to be careful, because I've made mods for so many different games. This can be full of different things, right? Here's a Zero Harmony here, but that's for Dyson Sphere. We do not want to link to Dyson Sphere's Zero Harmony. That would be a bad idea. we want, and here's the ones for Fortress Craft, right? That's when I updated the Mark II excavator here. That's where those come from. So we want to make sure that we are in Vintage Story here, and we know we're going to need to be on Survival Mod. That's 100%. We need that because that is, if we look at this here, you can see we're in the Survival Mod DLL. We're not in the API, the modding API. We are in the Survival Mod in the server mods. Because the Terrain Gen is just a mod system, right? We're building a mod system here, but we also need the API because we're making a mod system. So we have to include the API, right? We have to include the API. But this is going to be a very, very simple mod. This is going to be basically a server-side only mod. So, again, it's going to be very, very simple. But we also, no, not Fortress Craft. We're not in Steam. Get out of Steam. We're going to be app data roaming, Vintage Story, lib, Zero Harmony. Vintage Story ships with Harmony. Okay. Which is a good thing because it ships with the library already there. We don't have to include it at all. We don't have to include it. So Zero Harmony ships with Vintage Story, which is great. Any game that ships with the Harmony mod or with the Harmony library is welcoming to mod. And I know of one other game. Well, I know of a few other games, but one other major game that ships with the Harmony mod, Oxygen Not Included. The game Oxygen Not Included ships with the Harmony mod, so you can just make mods for it. It's great. So we're going to say OK on that. And if we go up here to dependencies and we go up to assemblies, you can see Harmony, Vintage Story, and Survival. You want to make sure why is this not I mean, it succeeded, but this is behaving strangely. I don't understand it. So using Vintage Story API, Vintage Story .api well, let's see, data structures, and then we want to do Vintage Story server mod. No, again, I don't do this often. I have how many? Maybe 6 code mods for Vintage Story. And it's been a long time since I've done this. So you want to look up how you did it in the past. That's the well-rounded. That is Dyson Sphere. I have that up as an example. So let's look at just a simple, like the Night Watcher mod. Very simple mod. The code, again, is up on GitHub if you want to look at the code for this. So we want to look at the Night Watcher mod. So let's open that with code. So again, mod system. This is what we want. Again, this is just looking up old ways of doing things, but it is very much very helpful. .common, I think, and this is mod system. Okay, so always yeah. I mean, it's not really 100% necessary, but it is what it is. So public strata shrinker oh my god, shrinker config, which I need to declare that. I need to declare that object. ssconfig. So I need to go over here and say I need add class C# items. This is going to be strata shrinker config. Just like that. And then these are usually really, really simple. Okay. Internal. Oh, no. No. Strata shrinker config. Very, very simple. We want the config files are automatically loaded and saved. Okay. So what you want to do when you declare the variables is you want to set them to the default values. So if the config does not exist, the engine, the API, automatically creates it for you and uses your default values automatically. So, you know, it is what it is. It's a handy thing. So we want public class strata shrinker config. We want a public int. Remember, we're gonna want to tweak two values in here. Public int, and the one was let's pull up this again. Okay, we want strata octave scale, strata scale. Okay, so we're gonna say strata scale equals 16, public int octave scale equals 32. So those are the default values that they ship with. Okay, those are the default values they ship with. If we want to confirm that, there's that one and there's that one. Okay. Now the configs that they actually generate, if you go into where the Vintage Story installs, which is users, username, app data, roaming, Vintage Story data, there should be a mod config. There it is. Mod config. And then so like these configs, watcher config, that's from my watcher mod, night watcher mod. If we load that into code, you can see variable name, default value. Very, very simple. No fluff, no nothing, right? There's very little information in the config itself that helps people. So I thought of a way to help guide people into how do you set these, right? How do you guide people as to what these variables may or may not do? And obviously this one doesn't even have block bears yet in it, which is stupid because I added that feature. So yeah, you can see night watcher config, effect radius, block wolves, block bears is in there. I'm not sure why it's not. It should be. I don't think I've loaded. I don't think I've loaded it since then. Either that or I just need to delete it and have it regen. So one thing I thought of is let's move this back over. And we need to, I'm going to reopen that. Because open recent, we need to add a default constructor. Public strata shrinker config, and then strata scale equals 16, octave scale equals 30. Just again, they're set here, but just in case, the when we create, because it runs this when the config does not exist, it runs it. So one thing you can do is add, one thing I thought of in order to help guide the player or the user in what these are, is add comments as config values. Now, the mod isn't going to use the comments, but you can add them here, and it will be saved into the config file. Now, I don't know exactly how these values are going to change WorldGen yet, so I can't really give guidance as to what the variables do, but I can do public string, let's see, strata scale comment equals something like that. Okay, and I can do this. This is going to be octave scale comment. Okay. Changes Terragen config dot strata scale. Well, might as well find rock strata scale. And then this one is changes Terragen config dot rock strata octave scale. Rock strata octave scale. And once we figure out which one of those is the one we want, I'll go ahead and update this to actually be whatever I need it to be. So again, we want that. Why did that do that? Oh, right. We don't want to. You don't declare them. You just set them. Okay. Now, and you could go crazy with this if you really wanted to. You could add another one in here that's just a divider line, just dot, 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 or dash, 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 dash all the way, and it would just divide them. But it really, I don't know. It's up to your taste, whether you want to do that or not. But I would highly recommend, if you have a lot of config values, or if it's not obvious what they do, put a little note in here like this, with like whatever little help text that you want to include, and yeah, I think that would just help the user instead of having to go back to maybe the mods page on the mod database for the help. So yeah, I thought of this in the last week or so, and I thought, oh, might as well give this a try, see how good it works. I'm more curious to see the order at which it places these in the file. If it places these in the same order, or if it scrambles the order at all. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm hoping it does it in the exact order. Either that or it's going to be alphabetical. I don't know. But now that we have the config, right, we want to do a get and a set. Okay. The get is going to be return strata shrinker config this dot API dot object cache strata shrink config.json. Okay. And then the set is this.api dot object cache dot add strata shrink config.json. value. The value is what's passed. So when you say ssconfig equals, that's the value. So ssconfig equals blah, 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 blah. Okay. The value is that whatever it's equal to. And it's just automatically passed in the set. These are just, this is essentially public, this here and this line here are basically the same thing. It's just that this line is, it doesn't have the fanciness here of really explicit like conversions. Like this is a very explicit conversion. And we can just, well, yeah, this is what it is. Okay, so we actually want this thing to be a server-side only mod. It does not need to run on the client. The client does not generate terrain. The client does not care how the terrain generates. The terrain generates on the server, and then it gets pushed to the client. The client does not dictate how the terrain is generated at all. So again, this is going to be server side only. Trying to figure out so public override start. Yep. Public override start. Okay. You always want to call the base. And then this.api equals API. Okay. So now in the start method called on both server and client after all mods are already received a call to start pre, because there's levels of startup, right? So but before blocks, item, entities, recipes are loaded. So this basically runs before anything in the game is loaded, right? So we don't want to, if nothing is loaded, that means we don't care. We don't care about anything. We cannot do our change because nothing is loaded yet. And we want to basically only run on start server side. We do not care about client side. Do not make calls to API.assets. That's fine. We're not doing any of those anyway. But we're also going to be using Harmony Lib. So we'll get into that in a second. Again, this is a very simple mod. Very, very simple mod. Okay, somewhere in here, we don't have an item class. We don't have a Night Watcher entity. We don't have any of that stuff. There's going to be no blocks. There's not going to be anything. This is strictly let's see, start server side. Okay. Base start server side, that's fine. So we want strata shrinker config equals null. We set it to null, and then we do a try catch. And what that does, the try catch in C# will prevent your app from just completely crashing, right? If it tries something and it does not go well, if there's an exception thrown, this catches the exception, right? So you can completely collapse when you're in a game, right? And you're in a game and it crashes and it pops up thing that says unhandled exception, right? Unhandled exception means they did not do this. The try catch means something went wrong that was not expected. Because if you expect something to go wrong every once in a while, you throw it behind a try catch so that doesn't happen. if something unexpected crashes, well, it's usually not in a try catch. You don't put a try catch around your entire app because then it would be impossible to debug what goes wrong. But this process, if the file doesn't exist, right, it can throw an exception, file not found, right? So we're going to say try strata shrinker config equals API dot load mod config, and the type is going to be strata shrinker config of strata shrink config.json. Okay. This is going to attempt to load from the file into my object. Okay. That's what it's going to happen here. It's going to try to load it. If this fails, then this call equals null doesn't change. The strata shrinkers, if this fails, it's still null, right? So if you mouse over this, recommendation, surround this call with a try catch in case the user made a typo while changing the configuration. Returns null if the file does not exist. Okay. So if this fails, this still equals null. And so if strata shrinker config equals null, right? The equals is a comparison, not a assignment. We want to base.mod.logger.warning regenerating default config as it was missing or broken. Okay, so that just writes something to the log file. And usually what I do is I preface it with the mod name. That way, if there are errors, I can do a find all in a file and find all of my relevant log entries. That's just something I started doing just because I've got so many mods. And if you have a bug and you have a generic thing, you don't know which one is doing it. Okay, so now API.storeModConfig of type strata shrinker config. Okay, new strata shrinker config, just like that. Strata shrink config.json. I just want to make sure strata shrink config. Strata shrink. Yeah, I wish there was a way. There would be a way. You could come up here and say string config name equals strata shrink config.json, right? So config name can then go here. No. Config name, copy, paste. There we go. See how easy that was? And then paste. Now, this is the only one set, and now I know every single one of those is going to be the exact same name. Just don't change this. Don't change that all the time. So now we have watcher config. No, that's the wrong config. Strata strata shrinker config. That's the local variable. Equals API dot load mod config strata shrinker config. Okay. On config name. Okay. So this right here, this new calls this, which is why you want to set those variables in there, right? This is just like my reference. These are the default values. This new is what creates a new instance of this and then immediately saves it. The store mod config just generates a new one, throws it into the file, and that's all it does. It's not loaded into the system yet. This is what loads it into the system. Load mod config loads it into the system. And then once that happens, we can go this dot strata ss config equals strata shrinker config, which is the local variable is being set now to the object variable. Right. So that loads and saves the system. Okay. Now we have the config file. We have the values from the config file. Now we can access the strata scale and the octave scale. And I've drunk too much coffee, so I'm going to use the bathroom really quick. I will be right back. All right. I'm used to putting on my headphones when I get back, but I don't have anything. I don't have anything to. I don't have anything to listen to on my headphones. This is weird. It's weird streaming. It's weird streaming programming because I'm not really used to it. Okay, so we need to talk about Harmony for a little bit. Harmony is a library it's just ingenious. Because the .NET frameworks, they have a thing called reflection, and reflection is how this is possible. We are literally pulling all of this data out of the DLL file because it's saved in a certain way that keeps all of this data, right? It keeps all of these names, all of these variable names, procedure names, object names. All of that is saved in the IL of a .NET DLL. Now, there are ways to scramble all this data. It's called obfuscation. But the developers the Vintage Story used to have a section of its code that was obfuscated. It was scrambled beyond all measure. You could not make heads or tails of it. And it was like the low level, like all the really low level server client communication stuff was all really scrambled. And it was hard. It was hard to see what was going on behind the scenes and learn from it. When I was making my crafting table mod, I was writing back and forth to Tyrone, and I was like, man, it's really hard to see how stuff is being done in the vanilla game because everything is scrambled. All of the communication, all of the packets going back and forth, all of that stuff was really, really scrambled. And I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but the very next version, he said, open it all up. None of it is scrambled anymore. So you can literally go through and look all of the nitty-gritty details about how it all works in the background, which is phenomenal. So all of this stuff is available. You can reflect it. You can see it. Well, Harmony allows you to edit and tweak, and in other ways, wiggle your way in and change things, right? There are three fundamental ways of doing this, and one super complex, just awful way of doing it. Okay, so the vast majority of mods that I've made in or using Harmony for other games, many games, uses two of the features. There's one called a prefix and a one called a postfix. And they are exactly what you probably think. A prefix is called before a procedure, before the targeted procedure, right? So let's say there is a game. Oh, there's the cat again. Yep, there's the cat. Yep. There's the cat. Let's say there's a game that you want to mod, and you want to make the character immortal, no damage. Now, there's many ways of doing that with Harmony. There's, and you just got to know, you got to have a little bit of understanding what you want to target, what and how you want to handle it. But for simplicity's sake, let's say that there is a function called damage player, right? And the variable passed into this function, damage player, is, let's say, an integer of the amount of damage to do, right? Well, in Harmony, a prefix, okay, you have access to all of the variables in the targeted function. So you can target the damage player function as a prefix, and that value, that damage to do value, like damage dealt, right? That can get passed into your prefix, and you can manipulate it. You can set it equal to 0, and then go ahead and run the vanilla procedure, having edited that value. So the edited value gets passed in. That's one way of doing it, right? You can manipulate the variables with a prefix that are getting passed into a function. Now, I've used prefix a lot. Now, there's another one called postfix that runs after a procedure, after a function. Okay, so that function, right? You can also access all of the variables in the original procedure, but you also, if the original function, yeah, what are you doing? If the original function has a return value, okay, so let's say there is a function that determines if the character is dead. If is character dead? Well, what you can do is and there's a true false, right? There's a true false return. What you can do is you can do a postfix on that function and capture that result. It's called a result. __ result, I believe. And you can manipulate the result before passing control back to the main system. So you can always just set that to false, and the character will never die. It will always say, nope, character's not dead. I have 0 health, character's not dead. Every time. So if you look at the source, because you can open any of my DLL mods in DNSpy, including like my 2-point hospital mods, which use this extensively, you can see how you can manipulate these things, how you can change them. Okay. So there's one other major way of modding. Well, there's two. We're going to talk about the first one. There's a function in Harmony called traverse. And traverse is deceptively extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Because traverse allows you to skip into objects and get access to variables inside those objects and change those variables. And it doesn't matter if they are static, constant, private, public, protected. It does not matter what they are. The traverse gets them and gets you access to them, right? So we are going to use traverse in order to skip into the object. So we are going to create a function. I just want to separate this. So public, I'm just going to set it. It's a mod. I don't want to protect it too much. Plus with Harmony, what's the point? You can edit anything in Harmony. Really? I'm completely out of coffee. Well, I misunderstood how much coffee I had left. Okay. So, public edit TerraGen. Okay. We're going to do public void, of course. Now, we want to use traverse in order to do this. Now, traverse is a static system. Remember how we talked about static and how you can call static things without declaring an object of that type. Okay. So, traverse is a static object. Class traverse, and we want to, this is why I have the well-rounded mod in here, because I have a example of this, because it's not always a perfect. You can, if you wish, do a Google search somewhere. So we're going to go Google, right? Dismiss. We're going to do Harmony traverse. Class traverse. Okay, and this gives you like I don't know. I don't know how helpful these are, because they're just like I never liked these kinds of help, because it's always like, give me an example. I learn by example, and that is really damn bright. Give me a dark mode, please. But yeah, I mean it's so stupid. Like, how is this helping anybody? I like examples. You know, I like examples. Which is why I've got so many mods that use it, that I can just look at how I did it in the past and how I struggled with it. So, and they depending on the version, they can tweak and change these ways it's like, it's confusing. So we're going to do traverse dot create, and the type that we're going to create, type of, and this is going to be Terra. Well, we're going to do using vintage story dot server mods. TerraGen config. We need access to that TerraGen config. So what this does is it creates an instance of this traverse object of this type. So it's looking into memory for that object, because that object exists in memory, because all the DLLs are loaded. It looks for that object, and when it finds it, it latches itself on. So we're going to create that type dot field. Okay, the field is the variable, right? The field is the variable. And the variable name we're going to pull from this, and we're going to say rock strata scale. Okay. So that gives that iterates into that object. It looks for that field, goes down, it finds that field, and it's like, all right, here's the field. Now what do you want me to do with it? Now that we've grabbed onto that field, we want to set value. Okay. Set value is saying, what do you want to set that value to? Now you got to be careful. You don't want to set that value to a string because it's an integer. You don't want to set that value to a float because it's an integer. You don't try to change the type of value. You just want to set the value. Okay. So we're going to set that value to ssconfig dot strata scale. Okay. The strata scale is the same kind of object, but it's coming out of the config, not some hard-coded value. If you wanted to hard-code it, you would set that value in here. You would set to 8, or you would set to 50. I would highly recommend you stick to the powers of 2, but yeah, this is where you would, if you would hard-code it, this is where you would do it. I don't like hard-coding things. I like all the things coming from config values if I can handle it. So we also want a traverse dot create. Come on, game. Come on. Create type of TerraGen config dot field of rock strata octave scale. Okay. Dot set value ssconfig strata octave dot octave scale. There we go. So this is setting those values. Now, what you could do is put a try catch around these. Of course, when it automatically sets the other bracket, I always okay. Let's see. Base.mod.logger .warning error during traverse into TerraGen config object. And then we could do this is another new feature, $sign here, and then we can say e.message. Okay. And this $sign will automatically parse this string and insert e.message into the string that outputs into the log file. It's nice. I love little quality of life features like this in a language. So if something goes wrong here, then it will spit out something in the log file. And you could actually put quite a lot of information in here. Why is this converting a null or possible value to non-nullable type? I think we have to do that. Yep. The question mark here, some of the things that the mod or the language does, the question mark here is saying it's a nullable type. That's all that does. It's nullable, and then we set it to null, and it's like, oh, now I'm happy. It's like, no, I don't know why. Some things are just bizarre. Okay, so what do we want to do with this? Well, we want to configuration. No, it's not configuration manager. Debug properties. No, not that either. I know it's in here somewhere. Maybe it's under project. There we go. Build. Oh, why is this? Events. I don't know why they changed this. It's so stupid. Pre-build, post-build event. There used to be like a way to edit this. It's stupid now. There used to be like a little macro thing that you could change. Why they changed that, I do not know. Like, what is project executable? What? No. Remove. Working direct. Like, I don't know why they changed this. It's now worse than it was. Command line arguments, working directory, launch profiles. I don't want to launch the damn thing. Like, it's weird now. I don't like it. I don't like this new thing because it relies more heavily on memorizing like what you're doing. Because my build output or events, I mean, post build event. This used to have a button that said, "Hey, I want access to, macros or something." And now where is that? Why is that gone? I don't understand why that is gone. It's stupid. Like, why is that gone? My other mods had it. I don't understand. I don't understand at all why that had to change. Why? Why did that have to change? It's just worse now. I mean, that's what it is. It's just worse. And this dialogue is worse because now it's like executable. Now I can set this and set command line arguments, but this interface too is worse than it was. Literally worse than it was. So browse executable to run. I can browse vintage story. Command line arguments. I have to pull from old mods. So let's go to maybe here. I think it's under user. Yes. Let me copy this and put them here. Mod test world, add mod path, not night watcher, strata shrinker. Okay, working directory, path to working directory process will be started. I don't know why is that different from executable? I don't understand that at all. I mean, you can do remote. Man, there's just so much. There's so much stuff in here. But this would allow you add mod path. Okay, strata shrinker. But we need to set up the mod first. Okay. And to do that, we need to go in here. I'm going to just copy this, copy, Strata Shrinker, go in here and say paste, and you are going to be mod ID Strata Shrink name. Strata Shrinker. Okay, and we're going to set version 1.0.0. This is going to be causes rock type to change more frequently. Okay, pretty simple. And I think there's a way side server. Okay. I think that's valid. This is a server side only mod. It's a code mod. It has to be a code mod, version dependency. You can, in the dependency, you could set the base game to be a certain version, or if you have a dependency on another mod, you can set the base version of that. Anything over the version is usually valid. So like my Diamond Crate mod, it relies on a certain version of the Diamond Crate or the Better Crates mod, but the Better Crates mod has gotten many, many updates, and the Diamond Crate still is valid because the version number is greater than the version I set in the dependency, so it's still valid. I'm just hoping that the side equals server is fine. The mod info there is. I'm gonna have to pull the. Let's see, CS project. There we go. I have to pull the copy because this doesn't give. Oh my. This doesn't give me the build events post build. There it is. This right here is, I used to be able to hit a little macro thing and it would pull up all these little macros that you could use. That for some reason disappeared. Strata Shrinker. Okay. Let's just verify all this stuff. Strata Shrinker code mod. Now when we build it, it should pop two files in here. The DLL and the PDP or whatever it is, which is the debugger symbols. You know, it has there's a whole bunch more information in there. The first thing we want to do though is set these values to something extreme, right? 8. Let's keep it powers of 2. Okay? Powers of 2. But I'm going to go with my instinct. I haven't seen any comments. I'm going to go with my instinct and say octave scale is what we want to shrink. Because the smaller this value, the bigger the frequency becomes. And we can verify that with this. No. Not region size. Read by. On map read. Here it is. So this strata octave scale right here. The smaller this value, the larger this value. Okay? So I'm increasing the frequency, and we'll see if that makes a difference. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. So yeah, this is a big like question mark. What value do I want to change, and what value don't I want to change? Do I want to change the strata scale to be bigger or smaller, or the octave scale to be bigger or smaller? Tyrone wasn't clear. I don't even know if he knows. So we've got to change these values, and by going extreme, you can better understand the result that you want, because if you change it in a subtle way, then you may be generating terrain that, well, you're not really sure if it's different enough. But going extreme, is a way to do it. And now with this, we don't necessarily need to recompile it every time. So if the thing runs, and it's a very simple mod, it would also help that start server side actually calls my edit TerraGen function. That would help if it actually ran it. But start server side, this in 1.17 plus, do not use this to add or update behaviors or attributes or other fixed properties. And we're not doing that. It will not be seen client side instead code, which needs to do that and be placing it over in SFC. Full start to the mod on the server side. That's what we want. So we are editing these values on the server side once everything is loaded. All right. Now we're gonna do. I should be able to debug it. Yeah, I should be able to debug it. But, well, yeah, let's start debugging. Oh my god. 13 files copied? Why? Oh my god. Are you serious? Are you serious? Yeah, this is me testing. This is me testing the honey. So I got to test the honey. And I've got an angel belt on me as well. But if we we have to generate new terrain. So let me go somewhere where it's not. So you can see we're surrounded by sandstone. Okay, we look at the map. We're gonna go off in this direction. Okay, now we're shale. This is slate. Hey, look at that. There's some marble. Told you a marble appeared there. Okay. So map. So this all looks like shale still. We want to see just how big this shale is. Still shale. The problem okay, so not really sure how to determine. And obviously I've got my my main mod, Ores Aplenty, in here because we've got redwoods. Oh, we've got redwoods. Glorious redwoods. Okay, so are we still in shale land? Slate. Now we're in slate land. Okay. Let's go over here. I just want to see if these are changing. Still slate land. There's some andesite. There's andesite. There's granite. I think, man, I think this is actually working. I have never, I have never loaded into a world and had this many rock types in this small of an area. Like, this is not a very big area. So one of the things we can do is give me a rock sniffer. Rock sniffer dash steel. Okay. Rock sniffer is great because it gives you the different types of rock. Slate, andesite. So if we go over here, shale, slate, andesite. Shale, slate, andesite. Shale, white marble, slate, andesite. There's some marble under my feet. Hey, look at that. Some sulfur, borax, glorious. This is why I have the angel belt on while I debug, because this would be shale, halite, andesite. There's a big deposit of salt under me there. I want a lantern. It doesn't really matter. Block lantern up. Not sure how to give myself that. What I usually do is I give myself like the materials to craft the thing. So clear quartz. Yeah, just clear quartz. Okay. I'm gonna take pause game off. Now I want to look at lantern. I needed to do this for a while. Not like not having a lantern. Candle. Okay. Copper plate. Metal plate dash copper. Okay, and then I can do metal plate, this, and that. Give me that, and then give item metal plate dash silver. And then what I do that, that. That. Put that on the other side. There we go. Now, well, that is a big thing of blue clay. Holy Moses, that is a huge thing. Okay, so this is we're still in shale land here. Shale, slate, andesite. This is changing over to sandstone. Sandstone, shale, slate, warble. Wow, there's a lot of rock types underneath here. Shale still. Ooh, there it is. Conglomerate? No, peridot. Okay. I mean, that's a lot of rock types. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure. Still, this could be what we're looking for. Shale, slate, andesite. Sandstone, shale, slate. I'm not looking for too crazy of land, but we look at our map and see. It used to be where, you know, I would spawn in and I'd be surrounded by sandstone. It used to be I had to go 5,000 blocks away to even get anything different. So let's head north. Okay, now this is going to be sandstone. More sandstone. Sandstone, limestone, slate, andesite. That's a good variety. Okay. Again, it is hard to know if this is valid or not. So what we're gonna do is exit. Quit. Let's first figure out why the hell all this, like, we don't need that. Nah. I don't need any of that. Why is any of that? Why, what is that? None of that, please. Dependencies, zero harmony. Why copy local? No. Vintage, copy local. No. No. Frameworks. Profile. What? .NET's like, I wish I understood what the difference between all of this stuff was, but it would help. Like, version. Like, I have no idea what to do, how to target. Because there's certain targets. You know, target framework. I don't know all the different values in here. I don't know what it does. It's hard to even know what all of that does. Build, rebuild. Let's just make sure. 3 files. Again, 3 files copied. Why is it copying? What is this? Depths? Like, why? What possible reason would you have on that? How about we close solution? We are going to try to enter code. Oh, my nose! I have sneeze on the way. Yep, there it is. CS project, notepad. This right here, I want to change this to something that is much better. So we're going to look at, like, say, my angel belt. Nope, angel belt, CS project, notepad. Wow, that is a much busier CS project configuration file. Holy Moses, look at that. Compared to that? Holy cow. Yeah, the hint, I'm not sure how to go get around that. Where in here? Target framework version, v462. Let's copy that one and put it in here instead. right? Let's try that and let's see what Visual Studio thinks about that. So we are going to do this. Load this up instead. Dependencies, assemblies. Zero. Why are you complaining now? Project. All I changed was the target. Add reference. Browse. Set path. We want only the Vintage Story ones. So Vintage Story, API, and Survival Mod. Okay. One or more errors occurred. The reference is invalid or unsupported. What? How? What? Excuse me? Close. Open project. Angel Belt. Code. Solution. I mean, I just loaded this. Oh my god. Okay. .NET Framework 4.6.2. So, close solution. Ooh wee. Okay. So that was a bad change, basically. That was a bad change. It did not like that at all. I don't even know. I think it was net standard 2.1. Okay, close solution. Open. Property. There we go. Okay. Why? Specifies the .NET version. Okay, I must have massively misunderstood what that meant. Now I can't even select. I can't even select the other thing. Let's look at the log file of the game itself to make sure there was no major crash or anything like that. You want to look at server debug, server main. Okay, so strata shrinker. Okay. Check for mod systems. Why? Strata shrinker. Why is it trying to load? Yeah, see, I think I massively messed this up by selecting that stupid net standard. Genrock Strata, yeah. Those are the base game. I'm not seeing any errors. Okay, how about server main? Aha. System cannot find the file specified. So it didn't even load. I think I absolutely targeted the wrong version of the framework here. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. So all of what I was looking at in the game, none of the things were changed that I wanted to change. Okay, well, how do you change? I don't need this anymore. I know the code is right. It's just, how do I change this? Install other frameworks, like version .NET 8, .NET 7, .NET 6, .NET Standard, .NET Frameworks. I know I've got the framework installed. End of support, no. 462. I can't. Why can't I change this? This is so annoying. Okay. What I'm going to have to do is probably completely regenerate the project, because I can't select. I can't select a different thing. Oh man. I'd love if people actually would tell me why there's 5 different versions of the same. There's .NET Framework, .NET like standard, like Target Framework, .NET Standard. Well, when I go to like install their frameworks, look at all of these. .NET 8.7.6, okay, how does that relate? .NET Standard, there's .NET Framework. Look at all these different frameworks. Like, why? Why can't we have 1, 2, 3? Like, why do we need 3 different categories of the framework? That, to me, is bonkers. It's absolutely 100% bonkers. 462 is one I want to target. I think. Let me look at what Angel Belt was. 462. I know I've got it installed. But look at all these different, like, why is all of this so vastly different than this? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to close solution. I mean, sure, save it. I don't care. This is all. Here's the stream. This is what I hate about this process is if you select the wrong thing early on, you are screwed. You have to just scrap it and start all over again. Unless there is a way to change that I just did not see, I have to come in here and go, okay, let's grab the 2 files that I want to grab. This one and this one. And we're going to cut. We're going to go over here, paste. Temporarily, these 2 are definitely going to have to go, as is this one. And then we're just going to straight up delete the project. Like, straight up delete it. Because, yeah, I am not going to mess around with trying to fiddle around with this. I just want to verify these. I don't want to reprogram the damn thing. So yeah, gone. Goodbye. So long. File. New. Come on. New project. Let's try this again. Class library. C#. I don't even know why Visual Basic is on here. It should not be on there. I hate Visual Basic. Hate it. Hey, you keep all of this. Strata Shrinker. How about that? It's like deja vu. I know. .NET 6, I don't know what long-term, I don't know what that means. .NET 6, I have no idea. But why is 4.6.2? Well, .NET 6, I don't know what that means compared to .NET 4.6.2. No idea. So we're going to create and hope for the best. And yeah, this is going to be Strata Shrinker mod. Yes, we still want to do that. Let's look at the properties. .NET 6. Again, I don't like why. Where is Where is 4.6.2? Why is that not in here? Why is that not in here? Install other. Where is 4.6.2? How did I target 4.6.2 with the Angel Belt when I can't do it in here? Like, where is that at? Anyway, I there are certain things about programming that just baffle me. Like, again, Net 6. What? Like, what? Net 6? That doesn't make any sense. So we're going to close this. And fingers crossed. Let's close Angel Belt mod. Strata Shrinker mod. Replace file, please. Come in here and go, hey, how about that? There's like stuff in here. And then we can probably do an add existing item and see programming, vintage, Strata Shrinker mod, Strata Shrinker config. Hey, look at that. There's our config. How about that? Yeah, now I need to add to the dependencies. And here's the stupid framework again. Like, why I don't Hey Alex, how's it going? I'm just frustrated. Add project references, browse. Again, we don't want to target the Dyson Sphere ones. We want Zero Harmony, API, and Survival. Hey, and it actually loaded them. Now, is it Hoppy Local? Why are these not set? No. 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 What? How the hell are all these so different? How are all these projects so different? I don't understand it. Literally want to do the exact same thing. Open log. What? I don't care. I don't care. Go away. Now the problem is none of my build functions are going to be in here, of course. This is so frustrating. Like, why can't I target? I know it's installed. I literally have it installed. And yet, when I create the project, I can't target it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Why I can't target the same framework. Right? Why? What is going on here? If I close this solution, yeah, save it. Just save the damn thing. And I open Angel Belt. Look at that. Why is this interface different? Why? I don't understand it. It's so bizarre. Why is all of this different? That's all I want. I want exactly what this is. The build, I told you, the build and debug stuff is different. Why? Why is this so vastly different compared to the other one? I don't understand it. Close solution. Look at this. It's vastly different. It's so frustrating. I mean, I don't even know if .NET 6 is going to load with the game. I have no idea. Because it's so different. If anybody out there, after I'm done streaming, if anybody out there gives me a heads up and says, "Oh, this is why it's so different," or try this or try that, I am more than willing to learn. But this is endlessly frustrating. Like frameworks, none of this is in the other project. None of this is. Analyzers. Why is this in here? Why is this in here? I don't want any of this. Anyway, all I want to do is get this working. That's the extent of what I want to do. Debug properties. Again, this stupid interface is vastly different. Let's go to properties here. Build. Events. Why is this so different? Post-build events. Again, I want to change the post-build events. And I always just pull it out of wherever. Open with. Let's go just open with code. Post-build events. Copy. Here. And strata shrinker. Programming vintage strata shrinker mod. Okay. Now I want to debug. Yeah, this here. Just remove. Add executable. App data roaming vintage story. And again, command line arguments is in the user file. And we're just going to open up all of this. Command line arguments, and then we need to change this to strata. I'm tempted just to copy over the damn Angel Belt mod and just redo everything, because if this doesn't work, oh man, I'm gonna be mad. Okay. So add mod path, mod test world. Now, what are the odds? What are the odds this actually works? We're gonna close code strata shrinker. I don't think it would have put in a mod config, because remember, the thing bombed out. It didn't even load the DLL. Let's delete that. So mod info again, code mod strata shrinker. Causes rock types to change more frequently. Let's hope it actually loads. So debug. Let's start. Okay. Let's look at the log files. Server debug server main. And we're going to do strata. Okay. Checking for mod systems. Good. Not seeing any major errors. Let's check this one. Oh. Could not load file or assembly. Again, we're going to close this solution. Quit. This is the biggest troubles I have with programming like this is just like why are there 50 different things to select? Why? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why I can target such vastly different selections. Vastly different. It's not in here. It's in here. Okay. Net 6, target framework. Now, if I look at, say, the Night Watcher, look at how vastly different this config file is compared to this one. Why? Like, why? Why is there so much more crap in here than in here? Assembly name. There's a bunch of assembly name stuff in here. But see this target framework versus this target framework? How can I select this when I create the project? How? Why am I not able to select this when I create this project? It wasn't even an option. And this is why the game is not able to load the DLL. This is why. Because for some reason, I'm not able to target that framework. Existing projects can. This one can't. This new project, for some reason, is unable to change. .NET Core. Like, why is there a .NET Core versus .NET? What is the difference between .NET 6 and .NET Core 3? I have no idea. Like, what is going on here? Let's try. I'm just going to throw it out there. 4.6.2. Let's, like, supported versions, .NET Framework. .NET Framework is a Windows-only version of .NET for building any type of app that runs on Windows. Okay. So, this isn't a Windows-only thing? Well, I don't think so because my mods, I've not gotten any feedback that my mods don't work on, say, Unix or not Unix, Linux. .NET 6, this is what my thing targets, and it can't. It's going to be out of support next year, so that's obviously not something. .NET Standard is a formal specification of .NET APIs that are intended to be available on all .NET implementations. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand it. And 462 is so old. I mean, 481 is way up here. And I know that the game is going to be moving to .NET 7 here soon, even though that is also going to be end of support soon. Like long-term support. I again, support phase. What is this supposed to be meaning something to me? I don't understand. What's funny is this .NET 7 is going to be out of support before .NET 6. This comes before this. So why is .NET 6 getting more support than .NET 7? Guess it's as good as mine. So maybe on this new system, I don't have 462 installed. So let's install it. I'm trying to download something while I'm streaming is probably not the best idea, but I don't know of any other solution to get that selection in here. I have no idea. Let's close this solution. All I want to do is get this working. That's all I want to do today is get this working. And for some reason, I am struggling with even getting the version of the framework that I'm targeting to work. So with my luck, and I know with my luck, I'm just going to straight up close this because with my luck, I'm going to have to reboot after this. 462 developer pack. I've already got it. I've already got it. Uninstall, repair. I've already got it. Okay, I really need to not have that pop up, for crying out loud. Jesus. How about we have two different tabs? There we go. I have no idea how to fix this. No idea. The thing is installed. The framework is installed. Okay. How, pray tell, do we change the solution? Class library, that can't change. .NET 6, that can't change. Other frameworks, it didn't even allow me to target 462. Boy, I don't know how to fix this. I have no idea why this version of Visual Studio is creating projects that can't even target the right frameworks. Project. These are the properties. Yeah. Okay. Well, I have no idea. Properties of the solution. There is no I don't know of any way of fixing this. But at least we have a mod that, is... I know this is coded right, but it's not. Let's do this. We're going to close the solution again. I don't like how, this window, I cannot close the application with this window open. I have to close this, and then I have to close this. It's so stupid. Okay. I'm going to take this whole thing and cut it. And we're going to put into depreciated. I want the whole shebang in here. Okay. And then we're going to try this again. Create a new project. Class library. C#. Class library. I just want to see a project for starting a class library that targets .NET or .NET Standard. Next. Strata Shrinker. Next. What? Why are these my only options? Target. Oh, that's a big help. Okay, how about I do .NET Standard 2? Why are these my only options, everybody? Please tell me. Where's .NET 4.6.2? Where are the other frameworks that I know I have installed on this computer? Why are these my only options? I don't know. I have no idea why this is doing this. No idea. I don't know how to get around it. I have to apologize. I have to apologize. I honestly, from all of the issues that I thought I was going to have today, this is not one of them. This is not one of them. I had no idea that this was going to be the thing that broke me. I have no idea why I cannot target the other frameworks. It's saying, when I click that, this is what comes up. Install other frameworks. I downloaded 4.6.2 and I already have it on. There's already something on here. So why can't I target it? It's already installed. So why can't I target it? So I would love to know. All right, well, I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. It's going to be a lot of Googling. It's going to be a lot of Googling and a whole lot of smashing my head against a wall to try to figure this out. Because there is no rhyme or reason that I can think of other than the version of Visual Studio. That's the only difference between then and now. When I created those other projects to now. I was using Visual Studio 2018 or 2019, something like that. And this is 2022. And it's not, it's physically not allowing me to select the right framework. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to Google this, and I'm gonna have to go down this rabbit hole, because this is unacceptable. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming by. I apologize. I hope to God somebody posts in the comments if you have a solution, if somebody posts an exact like comment of why this happened and what to do to fix it. I will pin your comment on the stream so other people can read it and learn from it. But again, I apologize. That's going to have to do it for the stream today, everybody. We'll come back on Saturday, and we'll be playing a game. We're going to be playing Small Land on Saturday, hopefully with patrons. So come back for that, and thank you all for coming by, and I will see you next time.